Welcome to the Matt Cutts AMA. We were AMA before we had a name. Introduce Matt Cutts. This is Matt Cutts.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, wave.
Thank you for our last session. We've got a lot of questions. I am going to run through a bunch that I'm pretty sure everybody wants to hear anyway. Then I'm going to hand it over to the entire audience. And then after the session's over, you guys get to just, he will never leave probably. SMX is the hashtag. The session hashtag is #1key. You probably don't need that because this is the only thing going on. But if you want to use it, you can.
SMX.
If you want to submit a question, you got to type it in on the Wi-Fi when that comes up. We already have like 30 questions. We're going to get through a lot. Gosh, where to begin with? Welcome, Matt.
Thank you.
Matt Cutts,
it's very
head
nice
of
to be
all
here.
search quality at
No,
Google. And
just web spam, but good to be here. Thank you. Good to see everybody. Got 600 SEOs in a 400 SEO room.
That's right. That's right. That's why it's so bloody
We're
hot.
SEO stuffing. Yeah.
I have been especially equipped with these Google Glass that will detect any lies. So I just glance at you. It's got a lie app, and it just starts telling me.
You have the 2.0 version. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dear.
I'm
going to have to be careful.
Sergey hooked me up. It's cool. So thought I'd start off and see if you had any announcements, anything new. Is there like a Panda 5.0, the scarier, more frightening version of Panda 4.0 because that was too gentle, or?
Well, I actually have a lot of announcements. So at SMX West, I went through them all really quickly, and I think Barry was like, stop, my hands are bleeding.
That is Barry Schwartz, news editor, Search Engine Land up here.
So if you want, we could like do a question, do a tidbit of news, do a question, do a tidbit of news.
Yeah, and occasionally we'll throw one of these hummingbirds out into the audience.
That sounds
good.
good.
Let's do one now. Let's just get warmed up. Who is, that's too small. That's too tiny. You got a good solid hummingbird. It's like, wait. I'm a really terrible thrower. Like I should never do a baseball thing. So, that's sad. You should have gotten that too. Here, that woman in the blue top. Give that to her. There you go. All right. You bounced out of your hand. Okay, but anyway. Okay. I'll ask you a question. You give us an announcement. We'll ask you a question.
Sure. Sounds good. And I can throw out a little bit of news right now, which is for folks who haven't seen it, last year we tried making a video that said what to expect from Google SEO in this coming summer. A few people might have seen it. And one of the things that I talked about was what came to be known as a payday loan update.
Yes.
That handles really, really spammy queries. So I just wanted to let people know that the second part of the next iteration of that algorithm will be launching pretty soon. Normally we don't talk about future dates, but
you just launched it.
No, it's another aspect to it is going to be launching probably later this week, maybe as soon as tomorrow. So we'll see whether that.
When you say another aspect,
yes.
What do you mean an aspect of it?
The payday loan, just call it what you want. Give it whatever number you want. But the next part of the algorithm will launch probably tomorrow if all the binaries go out to the data centers correctly.
But how is that different from the thing you rolled out 2 weeks ago?
They tackle different things. So, you can look at spammy queries or you can look at spammy sites. And so there's different aspects of the algorithm.
Well, what were you doing before?
Spammy sites.
Spammy sites. So you found the spammiest of the spammiest. Payday was sort of like, oh my God, alert.
And now we're looking more at the spammy queries rather than the spam to the sites.
So previously, if I had done a search and there was just some really ultra spam, you might have tried to knock that out. And now, but previously, one of the ultra spam things would come up. The Payday got its name because a lot of times you might search for payday loan. Not me, but people in general.
One might search for
light
payday
this
loans.
month, but you would do a search for payday loans, and you'd get all this spam coming up.
Yeah.
So you guys were going to clean up those queries. But so it wasn't actually a query type of thing. You just kind of looked at.
It was both. But what we're updating in the next couple days is more on the query side of things, and it's broadening the queries that it applies to a little bit.
What sort of queries should we look at to see who's going to be saddest the most from this?
Well, the queries that are likely to be the spammiest, right? Like payday loans, casinos, debt consolidation. Those sorts of things. In theory, it could affect sites that are doing counterfeit kind of things, although that wasn't a specific intent. So we'll see. We'll see how people like it when it rolls out.
All right. So someone, what's that song? Someone's gonna cry tonight. No, hey, what happened to Metafilter? This is the long time. This is the long time
Okay.
site that was sort of like the Dig before we had Dig, and if the short backstory people don't know is like a long-standing site. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, I grew up on Metafilter. It was like Dig before we had Dig, before we had Reddit, before we had whatever. And you know, Matt, who runs that site, he didn't know what happened to him. And I looked at it, and it sounded like he got hit by a Panda update, except he would have had to get hit by a Panda update at a time when you guys at Google told us there was no Panda update. And then he also said that he felt like there was a lot of, maybe the ads were coming into play with it. And I know Panda had an ad component, but is it stronger than we thought? So what happened to him? Was it Panda? And are ads a bigger deal in Panda than we thought?
Well, it wasn't Panda, so Metafilter was not affected by Panda, so we'll just take that off the table immediately. So what happened with Metafilter was interesting because he wrote a really good post, and let me just say I have a ton of respect for Matt Howey. You know, you were in a on the media piece about Metafilter that just came out recently that was really interesting, and so Metafilter is your typical high quality site. Now it hasn't had a refresh of its design for quite a while, so it looks a little like Slashdot, you know, 1999 era sort of stuff. But the content itself typically has high quality. So it was affected by an algorithmic update. It was not Panda or Penguin, so it was a different algorithm entirely. We launched a lot of different algorithms that we launch, and we take those reports as good feedback. So in particular, we've got engineers thinking about, are there other signals that we could use to differentiate Metafilter from the sites that should be affected by the algorithm? Now, we've actually been in touch with Matt, you know, since the original algorithm touched the site, and so we had not yet found any signals that would help. I think we actually have a good lead on that now, but it's probably still going to be a matter of weeks to maybe a month or two before we can see whether that pans out. I think one of the things that muddied the water a little bit with Metafilter is Matt Howey wrote a blog post and he talked about all the link removal requests that he gets.
Yes.
Yeah, and so there was one aspect to it where Matt Howey was under the impression that Google thought that Metafilter was spammy or a source of spammy links, or we sent out example links to other people saying these links on metafilter.com are spam, and that's not what happened. So we looked through our records. We have, to the best of my knowledge, never sent a message or notification to any webmaster.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Not me, not it.
I didn't know where I was coughing in there.
We're just making sure you're awake. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Good, you're awake.
Excellent.
Cool. So we had never sent a notification to any website that said a link on Metafilter was spammy. Rather, what they were seeing were overzealous people who had been spamming and who happened to have a link on Metafilter trying to clean it up. And the crazy thing is, he actually quotes an email that looks like it comes from the Google spam team.
Oh, wow.
And we hunted down which site it was that emailed him. And it turns out we had notified that site, but we had given them a different link that was spammy.
And they changed it up.
And they took the template and they started to say, the Google spam team said
you
this.
Should ban them. Oh wait, you already did.
Well,
yeah.
I won't go into the details
Can you put
of
them
that
on
site.
double secret probation?
Double secret probation, yes. So that site certainly will scrutinize, but they were doing a pretty deceptive thing. And so Matt Howey was like, oh, Google says we're spammy, and we had definitely not said anything to that effect. Now, the good thing is, though Metafilter is a high-quality site, and though its rankings have been affected to some degree by the algorithmic ranking changes, the fact that it makes such big news means usually we get things right. Now, in this case, I think we could do better, and we're going to try to do better.
All right. Is it time for another announcement?
Oh, yeah. Speaking of better notifications with webmasters and better process there, we've been having a lot of engineers working on reconsideration requests and trying to figure out how to do that better. It certainly takes a lot of time to handle linking reconsideration requests and all that sort of thing. Some of the experiments we tried, one in particular was we had kind of an appeals process where if you submitted a reconsideration request and it was denied and you submitted a reconsideration request again, then we might select you for higher touch processing, which means we would actually correspond with you and give you examples and sort of talk you through what was going wrong on the reconsideration request process.
I feel like it's somebody coming in for landing on an aircraft carrier. Okay,
you're a little high, Bring up, pull back on the stick. You're too low, goose. Yeah, no.
Goose.
So that process worked well, but we we were only doing that for some sites. And so what we're starting to do is we're building into our templates for the reconsideration requests an open text area, such that if there's a web spam analyst and they're looking at a reconsideration request and they want to just drop a note to the site that's like, no, not here, here, look here, these are the spammy links, or you know, here's what you're getting wrong, or right. Here's what you're mistaken about. And I think we're going to use that functionality today. There's a very large site that did a reconsideration request. And
what site is that?
I probably shouldn't go into which site it is.
All right.
You've heard of it.
We won't tell anybody.
Yeah, no one tweet, right? Yeah, the Wi-Fi will stay up.
The Wi-Fi is totally off, so you're.
That's true. Yeah, we're relatively
protected.
Zone
of safety.
Yes,
so.
The cone of silence here.
Right.
So that site will be getting a rejection of the reconsideration request, but we're going to take advantage of that functionality to say, look, here are some examples of sort of the duplicate content or the examples of overlap that you guys should.
But you were already sending out examples.
Well, we were sending out categories, and then for links, we would sometimes send out examples of links. But now, anytime we reject a reconsideration request, the web spam analyst has an option to fill in more information there. Now, a lot of the times, it's cut and dry, black and white. There's not much need to do that. But I'm kind of excited that before, a lot of people, they get what they think is a form letter, even though an actual person has looked at that incident. And now we're able to actually give a little bit more detail, which I think will help.
So something like Google reconsideration requests get more detailed. Or Google reconsideration rejection notices get more detailed. Guys, I want to make sure Gary's got that for the headline. So
that sounds good.
Because right now he's going, headline me.
And now he's got one question to recover, so you guys can.
Yeah. Okay, Barry, start typing away. Don't even, nothing newsworthy will happen here.
Yes.
You all managed to roll out Panda 4.0. Oh yeah, did we overdo?
I'm sorry. Here, have a small hummingbird to make up for it. That's why I shouldn't do the backhand.
Did you? Please don't attack people. They're just.
It's bad enough you
ban them. Oh!
All right, we got some good distance on that one. Okay.
Might have been a bad idea. I'm beginning to think, but fortunately, we're down to the smaller birds.
Yeah.
So
we're pretty safe. Okay.
You all wait till we throw this panda.
Very sorry about that.
Wait till we throw this panda. Are you okay?
No.
I feel terrible. Oh my God,
scarred
this is
her.
the woman that Matt Cutts killed. Okay. Do you want to make an apology to her, Matt?
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hit you with a hummingbird.
Okay, Glass. Share this with Twitter.
Oh dear. Put a bird on it.
Add a caption. Add caption. Yes. Matt Cutts apologized for maiming an attendee.
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, Matt Cutts, close enough. Apologize for meeting attendees. I'm sure nobody will misinterpret that. Let's just let's just stop it. Reboot.
Speaking of maiming things. Yes.
About 2 weeks ago, you guys decided, you know what, let's really toy with your heads. We'll roll out Panda 4.0 at the same time we roll out Payday 2.0, although now it turns out to be Payday 2.0, the lighter.
Part A.
Part A, yeah. 2.0 alpha.
Right.
And that seemed like it was sort of a perfect storm of where someone would, if they were hit, like that, everything's plunged, something's happened.
Yeah.
And I just read that they did a Payday. No, wait, they did they did Panda, and not know which one of them hit them. And that leads to one of my favorite wishes, and it's one that several people want the same. Why don't you just tell people what they were hit at? You know, why don't you say, by the way, this update, filter, adjustment, or whatever you guys want to call it may have impacted your rankings?
Yeah, no, that's fair feedback. What happened on that update is the Payday stuff mostly went out over the weekend. And the Panda stuff was scheduled to go out on like Tuesday or Wednesday. And we had an interesting indexing situation where sometimes the documents pile up a little bit because you realize you have to re-index them for one reason or another. Normally we do like to spread those out in time so that people can have a clear idea of what happened at what time. In this particular case, it didn't work out that way.
But they wouldn't need to be spread out if you could just go into your dashboard and say, yeah, you've been impacted by Panda.
Well, so usually when we show things in Webmaster tools, what we want is to show notifications that are actionable, so someone can very clearly do something about them. Whereas with Panda, it's here's the blog post. It's a longer term thing. It's not like a manual action. It's a little bit harder. And the other thing is, there's over 500 different algorithms. Now, it's fair feedback that maybe we should think about whether to include that for Panda or Penguin. But for example, that wouldn't have helped metafilter. And so you have to draw a line at some point, or else you're just exposing people to 10,000 notifications.
But at least they would have, I mean, at least they might not, they would, that's the thing, it's like for these bigger ones, it would be nice because they are actionable, right? I mean, if I've been hit by Panda, I know that I've got a set of 21 questions or whatever I can consider. I know that I can do some work. And most important, I know that nothing is going to change until the next Panda update comes along. And if I haven't changed it, you know, then I'm like, oh, I'm still screwed. I got to keep doing more work. So that's what I would love is this major list of all the updates. I mean, I know Barry loves to email you guys every week. Was that an update? Was that an earthquake? Did you feel that?
Right.
And
yes.
I know that, you know, Dr. Pete over at Moz loves to be tracking all the algorithms. It doesn't want to be put out of a job, but why not your own weather service at least?
Well, yeah, we'll think about that. That is fair feedback. But you know, when it's a large change, we do try to tweet or announce something so that people know the date. For example, with Panda, you know, 3.0, we'd gotten to the point where the changes were relatively soft, relatively small. They took place over, you know, 10 days rather than like 1 day. And so we didn't see as much point to tweeting those. Whereas with Panda 4.0, that was a completely new re-architecting of Panda. And so we knew that it was going to have a lot of churn for people, and we wanted to announce that.
Anything new in your big bag of announcements?
Yeah. So Webmaster Tools. If you haven't paid attention to Webmaster Tools for a little while, you might want to circle back around to it. We have done fetch and render as Googlebot, which is indicative of the fact that we can actually execute JavaScript and Ajax and all that sort of stuff now. So you can see a thumbnail of what Googlebot actually looks like to Google, you know, for your site. So for my site, for example, I had blocked the CSS, and it looked like a pretty text-heavy page. You couldn't see the design at all. And it really does help if you unblock your JavaScript and your CSS.
So you guys really are trying to make fetch happen.
Yes, we are trying to make fetch happen. And if you don't unblock your JavaScript and CSS, then you might miss out, because we are getting better and better at page understanding, and if we aren't able to understand your page, then you might not get all the full credit that you deserve.
Oh my God, you mean stuff I have hidden in my JavaScript, if you can't read it, might be held against me in a court of law?
If the page looked like, for example, it would be helpful to determine the main content of the page, and if we can't do that as easily because you have everything blocked and we can't crawl the whole site, then we might not be able to give you the prominence that it deserves. But that's just a tiny little bit of the stuff that's coming with Webmaster Tools. Over the course of the next few months, I would expect more and better help with robots.txt testing. I'm really excited about the idea that you could do easier online testing, and that will be a lot more interactive. We've already done better documentation for site moves, and I think that we are going to continue to explore how we can make site moves work better for site owners, which I think will be helpful, and especially with Nominet, you know, the .uk registry is opening up, not just
Stephen Fry is really screwed up with that.
Well, I think there's a lot of opportunities for people who want to move a co.uk to a UK, and so we want to make sure that we're able
he's not even moving. He just said, well, now I'm Stephen Fry at stephenfry.uk, but I'm going to keep Stephen Fry .com keep going with the same identical content.
He had some duplicate content.
Any issues that he's got to worry about there?
Well, we always have to deal with duplicate content. That's like our cross to bear. But I think we're going to introduce some new tools to help with that.
Okay.
I would also expect things like better reports about hreflang so that people can see. It turns out a lot of people get that sort of stuff wrong. When you're trying to mark up, this is the German version of my site, and this is the French version, and show this for these languages, a lot of people get that syntax incorrect. And so if you show some better reports, that'll help. And then over time, as we do more app indexing, I think if we could show error reporting, that would be really, really helpful. So keep your eyes on Webmaster Tools. I know everybody in this audience probably uses it, but let other people know, it makes sense to circle back around. There's good stuff coming.
Will Google UK become Google.uk?
I don't know. That's a great question.
Yeah. Maybe you could tell the press people that we asked 2 days ago if they'd answer it. That would be great.
I'm happy to poke them.
Let's throw some penguins.
All right, cool.
Let's do the small ones, because you can't be trusted with the
big
big ones.
No, the big ones are fun.
You can't.
Big ones are good.
All right.
We are. Okay, right in front.
God. All right. Don't blame me if I don't
throw
throw
whoever
very far.
Oh!
It's like gravity. Oh, yeah. No, you can just have it. You look so nice. You're like, I don't want to. Can you see that woman? Put your hand up there. Just hand that to her. I'd have given you a penguin, but I have one left. And then for getting hit with the penguin, you should have that penguin for him. I need this one. I need to keep one for me. I'm sorry. That's it. Would it be like a box? No.
Sorry for everyone in the back of the room.
We purchased our penguins from Amazon. Fortunately, they weren't for Hatchet, or they wouldn't be still on delivery. No, I'm sorry.
Or Warner Brothers, yes.
Oh, no. All right. Hey, have we had a penguin update since October?
We have been concentrating more on Panda 4.0, so I don't think we've had a penguin update.
So, you don't think? You would know.
I don't believe we have. I was talking to one of the engineers recently, and they were like, it's probably about time for a data refresh. And I was like, yeah, it's probably about time for a data refresh.
Hey, speaking of bad links, so I had this person email me, and he's like, yeah, you need to remove this link. It is causing us not to rank well. This link on Marketing Land, or Search Engine Land.
Right.
We need you to remove this link. It's causing us to be in a violation of Google's guidelines, and could you take care of it, you idiot? Slightly more polite than that. So I go, and I was out of curiosity because I was bored. I'm like, oh, you want me to remove the link that you spammed into our comments? Because that's, so I go back, and it's like, hey, maybe you could just delete the comment yourself, idiot. But I didn't say it like that. But then it turns out the guy's like, I didn't know that even happened. And I think what happened was it's like some business that, hired somebody that went out and built some links, spammed some comments, and then now they're in trouble with Google, so they've got a tool that goes out there and finds links all over the web and then tries to tell them which links are supposedly the bad links according to Google's secret algorithm that only we know. And and then it generates emails that go off to all the publishers saying, yeah, please remove this link, and it's all very generic. And so they didn't really do this, and I keep saying I can't remember who said the link walk of shame. So if I did it, I'll claim it. If somebody else did it, you need to speak up. But it's this. You guys make people do this link walk of shame, right? It's like, well, you're in trouble, so now you need to go through. You need to contact all your partners, and you need to tell them, I need you to take care of this. And this is bad or whatever. And I get that that's sort of like a punishment for them, and we won't do that again. But now it's becoming a punishment for the publishers. Like, I don't want that stuff. I don't want to be bothered with it. So why can't they just disavow the links and I can stay out of the whole thing?
It's a fair question, but if they could just disavow the links and you would stay out of the whole thing, then somebody could spam, get caught, immediately just do a disavow. They could keep a list of all the spam links they were building as they were building them and then just do a disavow overnight and hope to get out of the penalty box immediately. And that's really not fair to the other people who are trying to compete on a level playing field. So I take the point that maybe the pendulum has swung too far on the link walk of shame in terms of, the amount of work that they have to do ends up creating some work or stress for real publishers, the Metafilters of the world or you. Or I've been known to get a link removal request, which is hilarious. I love it. Yeah. I did take it down, by the way, because they were very nice and polite,
Nice.
And
while you're at it, I just noticed that you seem to write a lot about Google. Do you know anybody over there that could maybe just get me out of the penalty?
Yeah, right. So, but it is tricky because we do want to make sure that all the people who have been trying to do things the right way, the honest way, the white hat way, aren't put at a disadvantage by the people who are just going to spam and jam, churn and burn, do a black hat thing, and then immediately try to disavow it when they get caught. So that's the tension there. And we're open to feedback on how to make that better for everybody while still hard for the people who have been trying to cheat.
Okay. My feedback is just let them disavow. I mean, you've got them pinned down. You know who they are. If they get banned again, then make them walk the shame. Then make them do it.
So if they get caught twice, then
2 strikes. Then you
so you
then
get
you
a
walk.
spam. So you spam.
Well, we say,
twice.
look,
you get 2 strikes.
You're in trouble.
Before.
We want you to go through and try to remove these links or disavow them. Your choice.
If you're an online casino guy, then you spam and then you get caught and then you're like, I still have 1 more strike left.
Yeah, and then after that, they use the strike. I'm like, now you're busted and you got to go do it. And I don't know.
It's hard being a search engine. I mean, it's hard being a publisher too.
Not according to the EU. It's very easy. Hey.
I'll forget you said that, Dan.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. But you can disclose that you forgot, and then it'll be fine. Do you have more announcements?
News. We have been working,
You can throw these too later, so.
No, it's cool. I'm getting down to the small stuff unless something comes up in natural conversation. I think
You don't have to always do an announcement.
Yeah. No, I think we're working on getting, or we're close, or we might have already gotten IE8 refers back. I think we talked at SMX West about they were going to go away for a little while, and then they were going to come back, and it actually took a little while for them to come back.
Oh, you mean the refers that don't tell us anything other than they came from Google?
It still says it came from Google.
Yeah, okay. But I was sweating that. But 0.5% I was missing.
But you can now, I believe, see IE8 for your organic search. So.
Hey, I'll just jump ahead to one of my questions. Remember when you said we were going to get like all of our keyword data for a whole year in Webmaster Tools nearly a year ago?
I think I remember that.
Do you have an announcement on there?
I don't. I don't.
Okay.
The folks are still working on that.
All right. Okay.
But I saw a tweet earlier today that was like, set a calendar reminder every 90 days, to download the links. Yeah, it's not ideal, I know, but you still can get the data.
I'm not even going there. I'm not even going there.
All right.
I already went there. Hey, just give us the data forever, because you guys have all the machines. If you can drive a car automatically to the moon, you can store our data forever. So you're storing all our other data. It's just a few keyword terms. It's not like you got rid of them. All right.
I will pass that feedback on.
Just let Sergey know. He's always calling me. I'm always, hey, man, I'm busy right now. Anyway, yes, sorry, and that's it. Time's out. All right.
Intermission, yes.
Earlier this year, you declared that guest blogging for links was dead. And then this week, I've got some major brand being reported as blogging for links. So did they not get the memo? Is that... I mean,
you will be shocked to learn some companies take a while to get the memo about spammy behavior. But sometimes it takes a while for people to get the message.
All right, so
we take action. We're willing to take action. I mean, there's been a large number of companies in a large number of blog networks that we've taken action on. So,
well, let me shift to something more positive.
Okay.
So I've had it on. It's not positive.
I didn't think it was going to be.
I've had it on my list for ages that I want to write this post. Well, anyway. It was like either I wanted to write at this point, it would be easier if Google told us what links were okay rather than what's not column. Or dear Google, should we just no follow everything type of thing? So is link building just dead at this point? Are you basically saying people should not even try to proactively gain links?
No, link building is not dead. I think there's a very interesting bubble around this room. Link building's not dead. Yes, you're telegraphing it for us. So I think the people in this room have a very different view of the web than like a lot of average regular people. So a lot of people in this room are like, oh, links are so hard to come by, and they're all no-followed. And the fact is, like a very small percentage of links on the web are actually no-followed. And so if you look at the overall mass, that's not the way that the actual web works. So I think that there's a lot of mileage left in links. And I've said that before, and I still continue to believe that.
Well, I'm not saying that there's not mileage in links. I'm talking about the obtaining of links.
Well, there was an interesting... So Dwayne Forrester from Bing did an interesting post, which some found controversial.
What's that, Bing?
Yes. Yeah, it's a perfectly fine search engine.
Bing. A perfectly fine search engine.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
It's completely adequate.
I'm somewhat familiar with them, yes.
Yes. So it's gonna get me in trouble.
Satya Nadella is changing the tagline right now.
Satya seems like a nice guy.
Yeah,
I like
he's
him.
a nice guy.
So Dwayne wrote an interesting post that some people found controversial, but I thought was interesting, which basically said, if you know the source of where your links are coming from, you're on the wrong path. Now that's going a little bit far, like it's taking it a little bit to the extreme, but it's also the case that if you do enough excellent, interesting, useful, funny, compelling stuff, usually your reputation or your links, however you want to think of it, takes care of itself. Because somebody wrote to me on Twitter today and they're like, what's your link building strategy, Matt? And I was like, I post useful things. And that's my link building strategy. And there's a lot of different variants of that. There's all kinds of ways to add value to the web. You can be the person who does good analysis. You can be the person who writes interesting research. The person who takes data and slices it and dices it and then visualizes it in a way that no one's ever seen before. You can have a perspective that no one else is able to really replace. Think about the Walt Mossbergs of the world. And you can't become Walt Mossberg overnight, but you can build up to it. You can build up to it in smaller niches and then build up your topic area more and more and more until people know that you're the person to go to for reviews of this product or this area. And over again, and I think this is true for pretty much everybody in the audience, it's easier to be real than to fake being real. The era of shortcuts that would guarantee #1 rankings is quickly coming to an end. And at this point, it's easier to just have those authentic conversations and do the work and get to be known the honest way, because that's what stands the test of time.
And I think the content, like at BuzzFeed, the look at these pictures of how dinosaurs had sex, that is linkable quality. No, I'm just teasing there.
I'm not going to get into conversations of which
saying.
sites have emailed me and said they think that they should rank higher, right?
But let's just say the dinosaur pictures of, yeah, might not be okay. Hey,
pictures.
I have to go into lightning round through the rest of my questions so I can do lightning round for all the other questions that are coming in. So here we go. You did a video saying about assessing a page without links. Could that really work? Because you kind of basically said it's really hard. That you really need links a lot to
No.
You did.
No, in the old days, search engines didn't have links, and they worked pretty well. You'd get 20% porn in Alta Vista, but 80% of the time it worked every time.
Would it work now? Could you go completely off links, cold turkey?
It would be, well, the context for that video was how do you score without links? Are there other things to look at? And there's a lot of other things. If you were trying to do the full-fledged operation, so assessing the quality and the topicality and the reputation without links entirely, that would be tricky. That would be hard.
All right. What's going on with AuthorRank? You've been using it for in-depth articles.
We have.
Anything else?
Nice try. Come on, I can't get into the secret sauce that much.
What's the secret? So you said yes or no? What's the secret sauce?
It's.
How secret is that? Yes, now if you were deemed an authoritative author, that might help you rank a little bit better. Oh my God! The world's come to an end. They need to run for shelter.
I've said before, I think the long-term trend is that we will use that data more, but as far as the specific instances, I probably can't get into detail.
You can't say if
that.
It's being used in regular web search. Because Eric's all like, AuthorRank's coming.
Well, I think, look, if
Schmidt.
Danny Sullivan posts on a random forum, I would be interested in that, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that it's a random forum because it's Danny Sullivan, and his opinion is inherently interesting to me because of my background and context.
Okay, Matt.
Okay, Matt.
Thank you very much for that.
Yeah. So I am a big fan of the idea behind AuthorRank. Now, as far as what the timeline looks like, how the logistics work, all that sort of stuff, that's a difficult problem, and we have to figure out how to solve it.
All right. Still going through lightning round. Kenichi Suzuki wanted to know if you were looking at things like click-through rate and search results at all, or if you think things like dwell time or bounce rates for websites. I'm not saying you're looking at Google Analytics. I'm not even getting into there. But let's assume that you had ways to figure out whether or not a site seemed to have a lot of engagement.
I'll tell you, so I've been asked this before about the Google toolbar, and my standard spiel is...
Not saying toolbar.
I'm just saying...
I'm saying any realm of possibility that you could not work your way around to not say.
I will give you the general answer, which is, in general, other than ads helping your search results, we're open to looking at signals, but I am extremely skeptical about whether that would work for all kinds of reasons.
But your algorithm doesn't try to figure out an engagement on a website at all?
I'm not going to be able to get into the secret sauce stuff, yes or no, because as soon as I say, yeah, AuthorRank would be great, then you're like, well, what about this signal, and what about that signal?
No,
and
I'm being real high level. Just like, it's pretty easy. Like, if your site is engaging in some way, we try to figure out that that's engaging, and that could work to your advantage in terms of you doing well.
So
you want people to have engaging sites.
So the very first feature I ever got into the Google toolbar were called voting buttons, and they were happy frowny faces, and you could click happy or you could click frowny on a given page, and I was like, this is great. We're going to have engagement figures from users that's going to tell us whether a site is real or not.
Yeah.
And 75% of all of the clicks were on the happy button. Yeah. And we quickly learned about Stanford students who were in click rings, and they were all like, I'll click happy face on your page if you click happy face on my page. So I have always been skeptical about this sort of data. Not only would it be noisy and skewed, but people would jump right in and try to spam it. So let me just be clear. I'm not going to take it off the table for some far future use, because that's other than ads, helping your search results. But I'm really skeptical that that sort of data source would work out well in the long run.
Still going lightning round. When do sites get that boost for using a secure SSL that you want to give?
Sites currently don't get a boost for using HTTPS, that would be an internal matter that Google would need to decide.
Okay. Hey, when you see a site, this is again from Kenichi, he emailed me a whole bunch of them, so I am getting to You&As on some of this stuff here, by the way. He was noting that sometimes if you come across a site that is both regular HTTP or HTTPS, you seem to be reporting the HTTPS over the secure site, over the unsecure site. Do you do that? Like if you can see a site can be reached both ways, do you say, you know what, let's just make it the secure site?
No, that's, as far as I know, that's not a factor. We used to have a slight factor that would actually favor the HTTP site, and I believe we have baked that out of our indexing so that either one can be a canonical, and it's not that we select one or the other preferentially. But you know, personally, I'm a fan of getting the web as encrypted as possible. Okay. And post-Snowden, I think that that's a good idea. You saw WordPress just recently decided to go SSL. And I think the more that the web is encrypted, the better it is for everybody on the web.
All right, just a few more. Can you revisit what goes on with the expiration of manual actions? So, you know, people get a manual action, but you put expirations on them, and you also give them a certain time. So, like, what's the time range again? You could be anywhere from like a day to forever. And when they expire, does somebody always go back and look? And who's in trouble
I know
now?
where that question's coming from. Hey, Sugar Ray, good to see you.
No, that wasn't. Well, she did ask it too. So actually, multiple people asked that.
Okay, good.
So yeah.
Okay, so
he was studying Twitter last night. Oh, I'll get up on the questions. If I just read Twitter, I'll know what's going to be asked.
So essentially, if Google does a manual web spam action, then you get a notification in the webmaster tools and the webmaster console, and those, if something's ranking lower, like it's a demotion or something like that, it has an expiration time on it. So if it's something relatively simple and not that bad, you know, hidden text, where you could just make the text visible and it's not keyword stuffed, that would be for a shorter period of time. If it's something that's really, really bad, something that's in what we call the black hat category, where they're obviously trying to deceive things, that can go on for a much longer period of time. Think, you know, years, potentially. But even the stuff that potentially lasts years does have an expiration time. And so if you wait long enough, those manual actions will expire. And in general, if you go to Webmaster Tools, we've made it so that now you can't do a reconsideration request if you don't have one of those manual actions. So if you don't see anywhere to do a manual reconsideration request, because people were doing it when they didn't have to. So we wanted to save them the work and the stress. And I got yelled at by somebody because of it. Because I'm like, well, just file a reconsideration. Go, you can't do it. You don't know anything. You have to have it. And I'm like, going, but it was right. Okay. but that overall, it's a good thing because people now, if they don't see it, then they don't have a manual action.
So you'll have an action. It expires even if the penalty wasn't fixed.
That's correct.
Okay.
And whenever we looked at it, it was easier to say, rather than audit it on the last day right before it expires, it was easier to say, you know what, if it's still spamming, we'll catch it again relatively quickly.
All right. Just a couple more. So is the Google Knowledge Graph carousel going insane or what? It's like you can click in time, you can click in anytime you want, but you can never click out.
I don't know.
Have you ever done a search for like a hotel or a restaurant? You search for the hotel or restaurant, then they all come up in the little row, and you click on one, and they're like, it resets, and like, here's a whole bunch more restaurants. You're like, but I wanted to know more about that thing, and I'm supposed to look over here. And
I've never gotten trapped in the carousel, but...
Anybody? Am I crazy? Do you understand that? Yeah, they all get it.
I will pass on
I will pass along that feedback. Okay.
Okay.
So is Google Plus dead?
No, Google Plus is not dead.
But I mean,
I posted something like yesterday. So,
so
there, Danny.
It's good. But more seriously, are you guys going to use the data from it more? Or
we're not currently using +1s in ranking.
Except for personalized
but not general ranking, sorry.
Yeah,
that's
but there are no general rankings, right?
Well, no. I've tried to be very clear that +1s might, like if I +1 something and you're in my circle, then yes, you might see it. But it doesn't affect the general web search rankings.
And you're still not using Facebook likes or Twitter social data in any way, shape, or form to influence the ranking of search results in the sense of these could possibly be deemed as authoritative links or whatever. But hey, if they were just ordinary links, they might get counted that way. But that had nothing to do with them being Facebook links per se, right?
gonna throw him.
Just trying to be clear.
See, this is why Google engineers don't want to go to search conferences, because
they get asked questions in a detailed format to make them give a straight answer?
Questions in a detailed format are completely fine, but the problem is if you try to keep cracking open the secret sauce, then...
All right, leave it. You don't use the data. We'll leave it at that.
No, so I'm happy to try to answer that one, which is...
Lightning round.
We don't have a special deal with Twitter or Facebook, so we have to crawl them like their web pages.
Right.
No follows and all that sort of stuff apply.
Okay.
Is that fair?
That's excellent.
Okay.
Okay, one last one. I'm going to go open thing. So what have you forgotten that you can't say about your take on the right to be forgotten?
I probably...
Oh,
that is above my pay grade.
If you say something bad, you can always totally get it taken out of the search results, as long as you move to the EU.
So
and
become a citizen, yes.
Yeah.
So Danny's asking about this right to be forgotten decision, which involves the tension between freedom of expression and the right to privacy. I think we have said publicly that we have gotten right to be forgotten requests from convicted pedophiles, people convicted of very serious crimes, along with people who fit into the more conventional categories that were contemplated by the European Court of Justice. I'll probably leave it there.
You don't want to weigh in on it. Just, you had the chance.
You know,
if you wanted to get your neck cut off, you had the opportunity. Don't blame me later on. You're like, oh, I wish I could have gotten in trouble. Okay. All right, going to the open questions here, and again, we're just going to lightning round through these things.
Okay.
Because I'm sure they're all easy. If I disavow a domain with the disavow tool, and then later on decide that I want to avow it, can I re-avow it?
You can, but there's a substantial time lag in there. And it doesn't take long to think about why. If you're a spammer and you get caught and then you disavow and you get out and then you're like, aha, I'm ready to go get those links again, and you avow, then the spammer could exploit that.
How do I re-avow? Do I book a ceremony in Hawaii?
No.
With
a civil union,
my link?
Yes.
And like, stand here today.
Stand for this? Yes. Your betrothed link? Yeah. No, you just upload a new disavow file.
Without the
that
link
link
that you previously
that's right.
avowed.
But again, I would be careful about doing that. We put long time lags in there specifically to discourage spammers from experimenting and trying to benefit from that.
Can you summarize the future of search in one word? No. That's one word. So you could have done that.
That's a good one.
You could think about it a bit more if you want.
I'll think about it a bit more.
Okay, keep that in mind. I'll write down here word so I don't forget.
Quality. Probably quality.
Responsive, adaptive, mobile only. I mean, like, what should I do for mobile? What's better? Go on.
I tend to like responsive, but if you're very, very smart, you can do lots of different URL schemes. Some people accidentally split their PageRank between a mobile version and the desktop version, and so that probably does them a little bit more. It doesn't help them as much as it could.
But does Google prefer one over the other?
You can do those approaches and have them all work. But
as long as you have something mobile useful.
So stop for a second. Mobile is important. Mobile is coming faster than than most people in this room realize. Soon, a lot of your traffic, maybe most of your traffic, will be mobile. For Google, I expect our mobile traffic to exceed our desktop traffic in the relatively near future. And so if you're not thinking about mobile, if you haven't come up with a plan and a strategy for how to handle mobile, you really need to make it a high priority. So, for example, how many people here, I'm going to ask you to raise your hand if you know the answer, how many people here affirmatively know that their site has correctly marked up their forms with autocomplete?
Yeah, but that's not a mobile thing.
No, that is a mobile thing.
Because
have you ever tried to buy something on mobile?
I know, but if I put
it's like being stuck with tiny pens over and over and over
but if
again.
I do autocomplete, will that let me rank better in Google?
Because
that's what they want to know.
It's not about ranking better in Google.
But no,
it's about
they get all the other stuff. I know.
You can still go bottom line. It's about the user experience. Make your site faster.
That's a no.
Because make your site faster because the panda's about to growl.
Oh, don't hit me. Okay, man. I'm sorry. Okay.
So ultimately, you care about your bottom line. Your bottom line is whatever your revenue source is, your dollars, or whatever it is you're trying to look for. It's probably people buying your products. People are more likely to buy your products if you make your site faster. People are more likely to buy your products if you make your site easier to use. And making your site easier to use is a lot simpler if you do things like making sure that your forms can do autocomplete. There's even some Google Wallet stuff where in one click people can fill out the whole form. Like that's the kind of thing that makes it much easier and removes the friction so that people can make it out of your sales funnel and into your conversion funnel.
Now, kind of related to this, in your new recommendations of smartphones, you say that if you're redirecting from smartphone URL to desktop URLs, you should use 302s. Why do you want 302s over 301s?
Well, that gives you the ability to potentially undo it if you've decided that you make a mistake later.
Site speed keeps coming up as a ranking factor.
Which
is
it is? Yes.
Is it a ranking factor in that if you're not very fast, you'll get penalized? Or is it a ranking factor that the faster you go, the higher you rank?
It's more a ranking factor if you are very, very, very slow, then it hurts your rankings a little bit.
Okay.
So if you're a normal site, you don't need to worry about it. It's the sites that are, think about a site that takes 20 seconds to respond to requests. It's incredibly slow. Users hate it. They're going to leave. They'll be unhappy that they found the site via Google. Those are the sorts of sites that really need to speed up. But it's still in your best interest to make your site as fast and smooth as you can.
Somebody was asking how much you take into account that your personal biggest audience are probably people in the SEO industry, which are a very small percentage of internet users.
That's a really good question. We've done a lot of soul searching about that recently because I think we do a lot of, like, I engage a lot with people on Twitter who are SEOs, but we could probably do more talking to people at chambers of commerce and small businesses. We've done Get American Businesses Online and stuff like that. I think we could probably do a better job of reaching out to small businesses because, you know, for the SEOs in the audience, they can find out a lot of the resources they need, but the small businesses who don't know what to do next, we probably need to do a better job of serving them.
You could just refer to them as some SEOs. Nothing will go bad with that.
Unfortunately, there's a few bad apples out there.
What's going on with negative SEO? How aware are you of it? And are you doing anything to stop it?
We're very aware.
Does that mean you admit it's a possible thing that happens and it's plaguing and killing small businesses?
We're very aware because people are worried about it, and we design our algorithms such that we try to make sure that it's not a realistic attack to do. So for example, the first half of the payday loan algorithm stuff that rolled out just a few weeks ago incorporates a lot of protections against negative SEO.
Okay. Do you want to name a few of your favorite Google Analytics or Webmaster tools that can help with SEO?
I love Fetch's Googlebot because I often deal with very angry people who are hacked, you know, or set up a Google alert for Viagra, casinos, loans, you know, and that's for your site. Oh. So site : your site, Viagra, casinos, loans, and then assuming you're not a Viagra, casino, or loan site, then you can get a pretty good idea of when you get hacked.
And hey, if you are ranking, maybe you could use that to your advantage. Just change a few of the links.
Throw some ads on there,
as long
and
as
you're
you've
good
got
to
the
go.
rankings, you know.
New opportunities opening all the time. Yes.
Welcome to our coloring book and Viagra website. Yes. You can either download a coloring page or
you never know, right?
Okay.
Fill dirt and croissants, Viagra and coloring books.
Yeah. With the drastic change of how people will be interacting with search in the future, voice, glass, do you see the results changing, especially for small format scenes like wearables?
I do. Wow, that's actually a very good segue because I'm like, I wonder if this will come up naturally in conversation. So
it's totally not going to work, but you try.
It's totally not going to work because I've been reading about the Wi-Fi all day today.
Let's zoom in on it, though.
Okay, I doubt that's possible, but I just have a regular Moto X here, and so we've talked about Hummingbird, and one of the ideas behind Hummingbird was that we wanted to help deal with natural language conversation a lot better. So for example, I'll try doing some natural language searches, which probably won't work because I think the net is probably mostly dead, but okay, Google now, where is the Space Needle? And then we have to see whether
I'm racing you. Oh, you won.
Space Needle is at 400 Broad Street, Seattle.
I want to see pictures.
Pictures of Space Needle.
Who built it?
The Space Needle was designed by Edward Carlson, Victor Steinbrück, and other architects.
How tall is it?
The Space Needle is 605 feet tall.
Show me some restaurants near there.
Here are the listings for restaurants within 0.8 miles.
How about Italian?
Here are the listings for Italian restaurants within 0.9 miles.
Navigate to the first one.
Navigating to the pink door.
So now, that's live right now. That's regular Google search.
Here,
Thank you. Aww. It feels so special.
you get a toy.
Right on. I'll take this one back with me. This is much easier to fit in the suitcase, so I appreciate it. So that's live on Google right now. Like this is just a stock Moto X. It's a year old. There's no special binaries
the
running.
conversational search, which is awesome because I mean
works well,
it
yeah.
really understates the fact that if you don't think about it, that it's having to remember all the antecedents
Yes.
and not just what did you say before, but also that these are actual entities to
Right.
look up. But that's only on the mobile devices. You have it enabled on the desktop, but it never seems to really work that well.
That depends on the version of Chrome. Chrome is actually getting better at that as well. So if you go to Google, you can now, on Google Chrome at least, see a microphone. And if you click on the microphone...
But no, I mean, if you don't want to speak, why can't I just type that sort of
you
thing?
can. You can.
Oh, it never works that well.
Okay, well, I mean, feel free to try this with
Well, we will. Oh,
Eiffel
they are.
Tower and all that sort of good stuff. So it's safe to say if you're on a mobile site, you expect more natural language, you expect to do conversational search, that sort of stuff. As we get better at doing it on mobile, we'll also figure out how to do it well on desktop and that sort of stuff. But that, I think, sort of, maybe that's more than one word, but I think that's kind of the future of search. If you can do those conversational searches over multiple queries and have it understand and remember the state and not just every search is independent.
Okay.
Can't believe that demo worked.
That was pretty.
The Wi-Fi, oh
was-
man.
That was pretty awesome.
Okay, cool.
Oh yeah, they make noise.
They
too.
make noise, yeah. That's good.
If you render JavaScript, does this also mean that JavaScript links are handled like regular links, so that these links will pass credit?
Mostly, yes. So if you have links that are in JavaScript, when we render and execute the JavaScript, we can crawl and discover links via that JavaScript. And in fact, you can add a nofollow on those JavaScript links, and it will not flow PageRank.
Did you think about that search in one word yet?
Conversation.
You forgot to think about conversation.
I think quality, because that encompasses everything that you want.
Okay.
So.
BuzzFeed is killing it when it comes to Google rankings. Are quizzes and lists what you say, what you want when you say quality content?
So we don't typically comment on specific companies, but it's like BuzzFeed has written us and say we don't rank as highly as we should. Like everybody, let me just demonstrate the Lake Wobegon effect. Raise your hand if you think you are a below average driver. Below average. Okay. We have a few. Okay, now raise your hand if you think you have a below average website. Oh, what? We're all above average? Every single one? Oh, there's like 5 people that are willing to raise their hands, which thank you for the way, but good sense of humor there. So it's kind of strange, but everybody thinks their website is above average, and I think that sometimes generates some tension because of that. Yeah, this is SMX Advanced. Because of the sampling, I'm willing to, you all look above average in appearance, above average in understanding. I feel like this is a big above average crowd.
Yeah.
I believe that. I believe that.
How many feel like Google should be ranking your quality sites much better than they are? In all honesty, it's not. Nobody would say that if it weren't true. I mean, it's
right. Yes.
Hey, what actions is Google taking against black hat tactics to support third-party sites like YouTube, i.e., many spammy YouTube videos rank in a broad range of queries? You know, I do run that all the time, like when I'm trying to unlock my phone illegal and everything. You're like, and then you go watch the video and they don't even answer it, or they don't give me the illegal content that I wanted to watch. Nothing angers someone more than when you're trying to pirate content and they're trying to trick you.
That's so deceptive. I hate that. No, it's safe to assume that we always keep our ears open. We hear complaints. We hear feedback. And I did I thought it was an interesting video recently about what are you sorry that you missed? And over again, it's like, okay, there's all these trends that take a little while before we figure out how to do an algorithmic approach on it, or we were a little slow on the uptake. But I think it's safe to assume that we've heard the feedback that people thought, there's some spammy videos showing up, and we actually do have an engineer or two on my team starting to look into that.
What is white hat link building, and should I trust companies who advertise that as a service?
Well, link building as a service often tends to be high risk. And let me just say, every pitch, every tool that you've heard today at this conference can be beaten with creativity. If you come up with something compelling, that's what's the real hook that's going to make a big difference. So link building as a service, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and he said he was actually trying to build authentic organic links with tracking where he didn't care about whether he didn't want them to flow PageRank. He just wanted like real links. And after like 3 weeks, he was unable to find a single vendor who was able to like provide that was not in a spammy sort of way, which is sort of discouraging. But it is certainly possible to do white hat link building. Usually it's called being excellent, right? There are a lot of, like, take search engine land, right? You broke off from your old site, you started fresh, and yet now you have a very, search engine land is known as one of the most authoritative places to go on the web. You didn't cheat, you didn't take shortcuts, you went right up the middle and you earned it with sweat. And that's the best way to do white hat link building in my experience. Sweat plus creativity helps a lot.
No, it's just complicated. Would dynamically replacing a phone number with JavaScript, I can't do this one, sorry. Save that for the ACT SEOs. There's a bunch of these here that are good for the ACT SEOs that we'll get into that one. So that one's complicated.
So phone numbers can be considered spam. I mean, if
oh, yeah. Well, it's like if I change the phone number with JavaScript, would you consider that cloaking?
Well, we look at the bottom line result. If the user is getting a different experience than Googlebot, then we do consider that cloaking. But if you're trying to show the same thing to Google and to users, then you should usually be fine.
But there would be a dedicated NAP set that would be available to Googlebot when the site itself is crawled, and all other content would be the same.
So the general easy rule of thumb on cloaking
I also went rough.
Yeah, if you're doing something specifically for Google, like as if Google were its own country, that tends to be high risk.
So. But if it's just that you're doing it and Google comes in and it gets what anybody else would get if they were coming from Mountain View.
If it's just whatever the gumball comes down. But if you're specifically targeting Mountain View because Googlebot is there, that's also, I would consider it high risk.
Oh yeah. Is there such a thing as the opposite of manual penalties? Are there manual benefits?
No. Ranking friends with benefits?
Friends can we... Can we be sites with benefits with Google?
No.
Well, what about YouTube?
I have no experience with YouTube.
They're not like whitelisted or anything. So no whitelists. That's what you're looking for. Is there a whitelist as opposed to a...
Well, you don't get any boost, right? But you might have a list of sites that you're like, this is a false positive in an algorithm or something like that. And you're like, they're very rare, but you do
have some
I
sites
believe in some situation, like for example, suppose you have keyword stuffing.
Well, what's an example of a site that's whitelisted?
I literally do not know. I don't know a single one, but I'll give you a general example. If you have a keyword stuffing detector, and imagine you have navigation down the left-hand side, and so it's like men's shoes, men's sweaters, men's whatever, that might look like keyword stuffing to that particular classifier, but that would be a false positive. In general, we prefer to make sure that the algorithms don't have those sorts of exception lists, but I would not say that there aren't a few scattered around in very
So you could go through
locations.
and say, oh, God, we've just wiped out, I don't know, some site, right? There goes Zappos. Oh, and we didn't really mean to hit them, so we could get them out of that filter temporarily. I'm not saying them. Let's just say it's mythical.com, but not even them, because there's a real site.
Right.
Just
the entire team tries very hard to avoid doing that sort of thing. But I'm not going to say that there aren't scattered cases for individual classifiers where a false positive might have some sort of thing. So for example, there are no exception lists for Panda, so it's completely algorithmic. No one can come and make a good friend with Google and say, hey, take me off the Panda list. Or, no one can do anything like that.
That was my next question. How do I get on that whitelist?
Yeah.
No. A recent batch of sites had manual penalties lifted from webmaster tools, but they didn't even submit reconsideration requests.
Mm-hmm. That's probably the manual timeout.
Oh, okay. I'm looking for a few positive questions here. I don't mean it negative. They're all like, there's so much about penalties. And some of them a lot of them answered too. And actually, we're out of time too. So, hang on, let me just make sure. What am I doing? What have I done?
So
Sorry, I'm using the Nexus tablet. So
I'm going to blame the Wi-Fi, not the Nexus tablet.
no, it's working. The Wi-Fi's working fine. It's because it's got the dual antenna, awesome thingy, whatever. So, hey, what's your favorite 30-day challenge?
Oh, man. I've enjoyed several. So
what are your favorites?
Oh, man. I used to think I hated biking, and then I biked to work every day for a month, and now I enjoy biking. And I like bike to work for fun all the time. That's kind of a switch in behavior, and it's made me a little more healthy, and I've really enjoyed it. And I haven't gotten hit by any cars yet, so that's been a good one. Yeah.
Any last parting inspirational words for
the
spammers?
In general, whenever you hear, no, they're not spammers, they're all above average, which means they're all white hat.
I know, I was just teasing.
No, again, get ready for mobile. I was on the plane ride up, and what I like to do is and I go to the bathroom, I walk back, and I take my notebook, and I sort of look from here to here, and I sort of write down a little tally of what devices I see. And I saw 6 iPads, 1 iPhone, 1 Mac laptop, multiple Kindles, multiple Androids, including a Nook, a traditional, it's like, what?
What the hell's wrong with them?
Hey. And 2 traditional PC laptops. One of them was the guy next to me who was a Microsoft employee. So on that plane ride up to Seattle, that was 10 mobile devices and 3 desktops. So mobile is coming. Now, you're more likely to see it on a plane, but it is coming very quickly. So things like making sure your forms and your autocomplete for your forms have very low traction, very low friction, is easy to do and can radically increase your conversion rates and is really worth thinking about. So if you haven't thought about mobile, please start thinking about it.
And hey, one last one. So if you could be anything other than the spam police at Google, what would be like your dream job?
Oh man, that's such a good one. Well, I think I'd owe my wife several years of whatever she wanted to do, because we always said, let's try Google for 4 or 5 years, and then you pick next. So I've gotten an extra decade out of that, which I really appreciate. So at some point, she's going to wake up.
Probably after 3 months of just hanging around the house, it'd be like, well, maybe you should go.
yeah, she might. You're annoying me. Get out from underfoot. Yeah, that's true.
You got a bike ride?
But what's struck my attention is there's a lot of evil in the world, right? It doesn't always take the form of black hat. There's money in politics, there's Wall Street, there's DC, there's all kinds of evil left in the world. And for whatever reason, I'm drawn to that, but from the perspective of, yes, but from the perspective of trying to solve it, not jumping into the deep pool of evil.
So really you'd like to be a superhero?
No, like Clark Kent, like very
Clark Kent
geeky
is
and nerdy.
a superhero.
Except without this, Clark Kent without the Superman is what I feel like. But
that's just boring.
I know, right? But I've been very fortunate.
What would your superpower be?
Seeing spam, right?
Oh, come
on.
I
mean, once you see it, you can't unsee it.
I see spam.
I see it everywhere. It's more like
a curse. I see dead people.
It's more like a curse. Yeah.
You know how bad it is? I know what you mean. It's always like that thing in The Matrix, though, right? Yeah. He's like, hey, what are you seeing there? It's all code. It's like, no, I see blonde, brunette, redhead. Yeah. And it's like, that's the tragedy of being, not just you, but being an SEO.
Right.
The web is ruined. Somebody shows me a page, and I'm immediately going, oh, yeah, nice spam links down here. And, oh, yeah, can we stuff some more keywords over there? And, I can't believe.
Yeah.
But no positive superpower you'd want? You want to fly or be Ant-Man? Or?
I'm happy being me.
Okay.
That's good.
Oh, I'm happy. Okay, that's a good way to close
cool.
it.
Right on.
Have a penguin over there. All right. Well, so I have to give Matt a big thanks because it is, I want to say it's no fun taking all these questions, but actually it is fun.
It is a lot of fun, yeah.
But he does it well and he does it in style. So thank you very much for being here again. We really appreciate it.